This episode is sponsored by Medicine-Based Beauty, where beauty is backed by science. Hey guys, Alex here. I just want to quickly tell you about some upcoming events. So, CNY Women's Network events, January. Here we go. We have a Instagram live interview with Kelly Springer of Kelly's Choice Nutrition. We're going to be talking about health and wellness for businesswomen. That's going to be on January 7th at 9:30 a.m. Tune in if you're available. It's going to be a great conversation. Next up, we have a community dinner at Touche. This event is exclusively for members of the CNY Women's Network. We're going to be checking out the new French bistro in downtown Syracuse, so I'm really excited about that. Still haven't been yet. Next up, we are going to be doing a fit and social event with Spoke Cycle on January 18th at 9 a.m. It's going to be a little collab event. Members of the Collective by CNY Women's Network get to go for free, but we are opening this up to our whole audience. So if you want to network in a different way, attend this event. If you like Spoke Cycle, if you like cycling, if you like working out, attend this event. We're going to be doing a cycling class, and then we're going to be doing a little social hour sponsored by Project Lean Nation. We're going to have some juice shots, protein bars, light refreshments, trying to get some coffee there. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Okay, so next up, we have some in-person co-working sessions happening at Common Space. We've been doing in-person co-working sessions since March, but we decided we're going to open this up to our whole audience. So before it was just for our members, but we're going to invite everybody to come. Why not, right? The more the merrier. More is more. I love co-working. I don't know about you, but working from home is sometimes just not it. So it's really nice to just get dressed up, go somewhere where everybody is kind of in the same mindset and, tackle that to-do list. I'm always so much more productive at co-working. Last but not least, we're going to be doing a coffee meetup on January 25th. We still have a few more details to pin down before this event is live, but I do know that we're going to be collaborating with Anna Gill of Anna Gill Studios. She's going to be popping up and offering some special headshot packages. This is going to be, we're going to call it the New Year, New You networking event. So it should be really fun. It's going to be free to attend. Stay tuned for that. Otherwise, here are a few events on our radar. These are events that we are not hosting, but we highly recommend. First up is the Ascend and Elevate Retreat, hosted by Root to Rise CNY. This is going to be happening at Vanderkamp in Cleveland, New York on January 17th through the 19th. This retreat is going to be incredible. I had a chance to sit down with the hosts of this retreat last week to hear all about it. If you are looking for a reason to walk into 2025 feeling like your highest self, we actually worked out a special deal for you guys. So go to the show notes, click the link, and use the code Cultivate CNY for $200 off. And last but not least, the other event on our radar is the CNY Professionals Under 40 networking event happening on January 9th at the Mansion on James. Event's going to kick off at 5:00 p.m. and it is their New Year networking party. I went to their holiday party that they hosted last year at the Mansion on James, and I had such a good time. So I decided to sponsor this event. Really looking forward to it. I'm going to be in attendance, and I'm just really looking forward to reconnecting with people that I don't get to see too often. CNY Professionals events, always really great. We did a collaboration with them in September. We did a rooftop networking mixer, and that was a really good time. So I'll be leaving all the links you need in the show notes, and now we can start the show. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Cultivate CNY. I'm your host, Alex Canavan, and today's guest is Francesca Scutari. Francesca is a board-certified nurse practitioner and founder of Medicine-Based Beauty with locations in Syracuse, Skaneateles, and Ithaca. And they also happen to be the sponsor of this podcast. In this episode, we dive deep into Francesca's growth with Medicine-Based Beauty over the course of 2024, what trends she has noticed in the aesthetic industry, and how she has developed as a leader. So, without further ado, let's welcome Francesca to Cultivate CNY. Well, Francesca Scutari, welcome to Cultivate CNY.
Thank you.
In the past year, you've had a lot of growth in the brand, so I'm really excited to be sitting down with you again today. Also, part of the growth is where we're recording the podcast right now.
Yes, we've loved having you guys here. It's been great.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous environment. Every time I bring a guest in here, everyone is always like, wow, it's so beautiful in here. And I've always appreciated that about you, is that you you put a lot of value on providing a really top-notch experience for your clients. So there's a lot of ground we can cover in this episode. But first, I want to know, how did this expansion come about? How did you know it was time?
Yeah, so there was a day when we were upstairs in so we moved from the 10th floor of Merchant Commons, and we had just two treatment rooms. So it was a really small space, tiny little office and a tiny waiting room. And I had so many patients booked one day that people were like waiting in the hallway to see me. Like there's nowhere for anyone to sit. So that was kind of like the turning point for when I knew it was kind of time to expand. And I wanted to give the patients more of like a luxury experience while they were waiting for their appointments. So we met with Merchant Commons and they had this opening. This is where Syracuse.com was, which is pretty incredible that we got to take over the space. And then we started doing the build out.
This is a pretty iconic space, I feel like. Either people know it used to be Syracuse.com, or they don't, and then they ask, what used to be here?
Hmm.
Because it really is so spacious.
Yeah.
But I really love the vibe that you've set here. Very clean, chic,
Thank you.
minimalistic-ish.
Thank you. I
Did you
definitely
have a
I had
stylist?
help. So
Okay.
Elise Petrella is a interior designer from New York. She is my cousin, so she helped me pull the space together. My personal style is a little bit more eclectic, so I needed her to kind of tone it down and, help me with the muted colors and all of those things because I don't know if you've been to our clinic upstairs, but there was a lot more color, lots more artwork, and I wanted it to just feel very relaxed and like almost like you're entering like a spa.
It's definitely giving more of that Zen grounded spa. Very Scandinavian style. But I did go to your office when it was upstairs, and I loved it because
It
my
was
style is very
cute.
similar. I
Yeah.
like color. And it was cute but still chic. It wasn't too much. You
Yeah.
did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you think has been your biggest learning experience since expanding? Because not only did you move into a bigger space here in Syracuse, but you just opened up another location in Skaneateles.
Yeah. So opening a location in Skaneateles has always been my goal, like since I started in 2021. Um, and I can't believe I achieved that so quickly. It kind of just the space fell into my lap and I knew I had to take the initiative and take the risk. So I opened Skaneateles. Well, Syracuse and Skaneateles opened within 6 or 7 months of each other, which was not the plan, but that was just kind of how things worked out and we made it work.
Yeah, that's a lot of growth in a
Yeah.
short amount of
Yeah.
time. You mentioned, taking risk. You know, are taking risks natural to you? Is it something that you kind of had to learn along the way?
I think I'm naturally a risk taker. I used to be a little bit crazier in my younger years, like with like adrenaline and things like that. Like I would go bridge jumping and doing all kinds of crazy things. But now I'm a little bit older and kind of know too much, especially after being in medicine for so long.
Yeah, I can
Um,
only imagine.
but so I guess now my risks are within businesses and it's been great.
What about the hardships you've experienced? I mean, I'm sure growing so quickly like this is great,
Hmm.
but I have no doubt that you've faced a lot of issues or maybe obstacles.
Yeah, I would say the biggest hardship was just this time frame in which both of the offices opened. So Syracuse was already existing, and then we opened into this new 5,000 square foot beautiful space in downtown Syracuse. Um, and then Skinny Atlas was supposed to open about a year later. That was kind of going on. I was working through that, behind the scenes. But construction is just it takes forever, and it took a really long time to get the Syracuse space is huge, so it took a lot longer than I thought the construction would take to get this perfect. So they ended up opening within 6 or 7 months of each other. And like I said, that wasn't really the plan. They were supposed to open about a year from each other. So I was going to open Syracuse and then kind of have like a year to regroup. And then Skinny Atlas was supposed to open, but they opened so quickly, right? One after the other. So that was probably the hardest thing. It was like we were working on two different build outs at the same time.
And nothing, I mean, things never really go exactly how you plan.
No.
So it's just, you got to take it day by day.
Yeah, we had great partners. Merchant Commons and Washington Street Partners did our build out for us, and Syracuse, and then Mark from Harmony Homes did our build out in Skaneateles, and they were both made the process so easy. And, um, they can't really help the timing, but the build out process was easy.
How are the two spaces in Syracuse and Skaneateles different from each other?
So Syracuse is much larger. It's kind of like our headquarters. Um, this is a 5,000 square foot space, and we've got 5 treatment rooms and a training space. The Syracuse office is smaller, so it's about 1,200 square feet, and we have 4 treatment rooms there and a cute little waiting room.
Is it more like farmhouse chic or is it like modern and lots of light like this?
It's got lots of big, beautiful windows, lots of light. It's in a newly built barn. So it's a barn that is an office building.
Oh, that's
It's
cute. We
very
love
cute. It
that.
looks like Lake House on Canandaigua or in Zaurora.
I think I saw a photo of it. And yes, yeah, it's giving Lake House on Canandaigua
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
I love the lake house. So nice. Are you a professional woman in Central New York looking to connect with a community that values local talent? Unlock your career's potential with the CNY Women's Network online business directory. For just $9 a month, you can enjoy a premier listing that connects you with a community of engaged customers, recruiters, and executives eager to discover you. Getting started is easy. Simply click the link in the show notes to purchase your listing, and your profile will be live within 72 hours. And one more thing, as a valued listener of the Cultivate CNY podcast, you get 20% off your first month with us. Just use the code Cultivate20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first month with the CNY Women's Network online business directory when you use the code Cultivate20 at checkout. Don't miss out on the opportunity to grow your career and attract new opportunities. Join the CNY Women's Network directory today to be seen, connected, and hired. So what about the team? How has your team grown?
Yeah. So when we were doing the build out in Syracuse, I met Kayla, who is our newest, well, she's not our newest injector. So I met Kayla through a training when I had hosted Leslie Fletcher at our space in Syracuse. And I knew that I wanted to hire another injector because I knew Skaneateles was going to be opening within a year or so. And so I knew I needed to grow the team a bit. And Kayla just kind of showed up to the training and we hit it off. She had just moved here from Iowa. She has tons of experience. And I knew that she would be the perfect addition to the team. And she had emailed me and said that she was looking to join a practice in Syracuse since she had moved from Iowa.
How has that been? Has it been just kind of a natural partnership, or have you kind of had to learn a little bit about how to lead others?
Yeah, that's been a natural partnership. I would say
She's pretty self-sufficient.
she
Like
is so
she's
amazing.
a
She
self-starter.
she is. She's a go-getter. She has tons of experience. She is a trainer for the laser company with the devices that we have. So she's like the expert with that. She just fit right into the team seamlessly.
And you guys do a lot of laser treatments.
We
Like
do.
when I think of like laser, I think of medicine-based beauty.
Yeah, we love doing laser treatments. I think it's a trend in aesthetic medicine right now that people are doing more regenerative services. So things like laser treatments, microneedling, those types of services.
Yeah, I think people are starting to invest their money a little bit more in services like that
Hmm.
that is going to kind of preserve the skin rather than trying to correct or tweak the skin, if you will. I mean, I
Yeah.
think um I don't know. I have you noticed that people are doing like less filler lately?
There is slightly a trend with less filler.
What is your take on that?
I love filler. My face is filled with filler. So
It doesn't look like it's filled
thank
with
you.
filler. How do you achieve that? Because I think so many people that aren't, in the beauty industry at all, they don't
Yeah.
really know. They see those people that you can clearly tell, oh my gosh, they have so much Botox and filler.
Hmm.
Don't want to look like that.
Yeah.
But, then you see people that have really great work done and you can't be mad at it. So like how is that different? Is it the doctor? Is it the product? Is it technique?
It's all of those things. Natural outcomes have always been the forefront of what we do. So making sure that things don't look overdone when they're leaving the office is really important to us. We really want to keep that natural aesthetic for our patients. Our patients are like our portfolio, so they're walking around and telling their friends, and we want them to, their friends to be asking because they look great or they look like they've had nothing done. And I think one of the ways with filler, especially to make things look natural, is to treat more than one area on the face. I think a lot of times people will come in and say, I just want my lips done or I just want my cheeks done. But really, by doing kind of micro tweaks to each area, you can kind of balance the facial structure and it creates a more natural outcome.
So what are the things that you're seeing in regenerative aesthetics and medicine
Yeah.
that
So,
you're loving?
yeah, I mean, look at Lindsay Lohan.
But
She
was
looks
that a
amazing.
facelift though?
That was okay.
People are saying it was a
Okay. No one
facelift,
will know exactly what she had
but
done,
I feel like facelifts
but
have
she
become
has definitely had a
so
facelift.
good.
Well, I can't say for sure, but
Yeah,
I
but
would assume
there's
that she's had
speculation.
some surgical work, but also a facelift, you cannot get that skin quality with a facelift. She's got to be doing lasers. She's probably doing biostimulators like Sculptra, and probably properly placed filler.
It's always a little bit of everything. It's like a cocktail.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception too that if you have a facelift, you're not going to need injectables after. And injectables are kind of the icing on the cake. It's what tops off the look.
Is there any like so I feel like just beauty in general has I've seen it from the makeup artistry end
Mhm.
where people really do want to achieve that natural look. People are no longer trying to create a new face shape for themselves with, contour sticks. People are really leaning into the clean girl, more minimalist sort of makeup. But not only that, I can tell a lot of people are dissolving their lip filler, right?
Yeah.
Um, People are, embracing more natural features on faces. So, have you seen, I know that Syracuse is not LA or New York,
Mhm.
right? So we're always a little behind on trend, but obviously specializing in this um more natural look for your clients, I'm sure it's just like nothing's changed for you.
Yeah, nothing's changed for us from that aspect just because natural outcomes have always been the forefront of what we do and our brand. Um, but I would say with regenerative medicine, a lot of people are doing laser treatments, more laser treatments than I've seen in the past. They're doing biostimulators like Sculptra.
Now,
Um,
what is Sculptra? If someone's listening and they have no idea what that is.
okay, so Sculptra is a biostimulator, meaning it triggers the body to produce its own collagen and elastin. So we inject it similarly to how we inject filler, but the body actually goes and lays collagen and elastin in its place. And it does take some time to see results from a biostimulator. So it does take, 3 to 6 months to see results from those treatments, but it's gradual, it's gentle volumization. The results have been really beautiful and natural.
I've never tried it, but I've wanted to try it.
So Sculptra there's two areas on the face that really you can't put Sculptra, and it's around the eyes and around the mouth.
Really?
But
Why
it
is
is a
that?
full face treatment. It's because the way that the muscles move, you don't want the collagen building up in those areas where there's a lot of muscle movement.
Do people do it more in like the cheek, probably?
Yeah, so I would say like most people are getting it done kind of like in the cheek, kind of back here in front of the ear, just to give some pull, and then like smile lines through the face here. So you're building collagen kind of below the skin surface. And I always say, doing laser treatments, you're gonna do help with the top layer of your skin with regeneration there, and then Sculptra is a nice added bonus because you're stimulating collagen at a deeper level.
And then microneedling, of course, helps with that more
Yeah.
on the surface level,
Hmm.
helps with tightness and
Yeah,
elasticity.
and it's all about stimulating collagen and elastin. Um, Microneedling, one treatment, or I believe it's 4 treatments. I can't remember the statistic exactly, but microneedling does put in. Well, it doesn't put in, but it produces enough collagen to replace what you've lost in a year. So microneedling is a great, kind of underrated treatment as well.
That makes sense. Just one treatment?
It's a series of 4 typically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Um
Yeah. You're like getting all the tips through your face.
yeah. And what about laser? Like what is laser? I know you mentioned the top layer of skin, but like what specifically can people expect from laser treatments?
Yeah, so we have some of the best lasers in the industry. It's very important for us to have kind of like the top tier of technology. So we have Cyton lasers in Syracuse and Skaneateles, and then an Aerolase in Ithaca. The reason that we have Aerolase in Ithaca is we do see a lot of darker skin types in Ithaca, just because of the patient population and, the university and all of those things. But our Cyton laser, we have the BBL portion, which is broadband light. So that helps with pigment, redness. It also does some skin tightening by stimulating collagen and elastin. And then we have the Moxie, which is a non-ablative laser. So it gives you a gentle resurface of the top layer of your skin. So we pair that treatment together and we stack it. So we will do a BBL and then immediately follow the treatment with a Moxie treatment, and we call it the Moxie Bright. And we've had just incredible results from that.
And what does the recovery look like after that? The
If you're
Moxie
doing
Bright.
the Moxie Bright and you're doing both of those treatments together, your recovery typically looks like you're going to have some downtime. The downtime's typically 3 to 5 days. But I always tell patients, like after 24 hours, you're going to be a little dry and flaky. You get what's called mends on the top layer of the skin. So they look like little coffee grounds. And that's all of the pigment and old dead skin cells. After about 24 hours, you can put SPF on. And I always tell patients, like no one unless they're in your immediate bubble is going to notice that you had something done. You're just going to be a little like scaly and dry for a couple of days. But the Moxie Bright can be done anywhere on the body, which is incredible. So, a lot of people are doing, in addition to their faces, they're doing like face, neck, chest,
I know.
their shoulders, because I think in this
I need
area,
to get my chest done. I can tell.
yeah, my chest is aging like rapidly. I'm a sun lover. So, and I think a lot of people in this area are, because we have the Finger Lakes so close to us. So all those sun lovers out there are getting their kind of treatments done in the winter and taking care of other parts of the body, not just the face.
Do you guys do stuff like that on the hands at all?
We do hands. Yeah, Moxie Bright on the hands. Actually, our members get their hands done with any treatment complimentary, which is nice.
Ooh,
Yes.
that is such a good perk.
Shameless plug.
So aside from the regenerative aesthetic treatments, what are you noticing in beauty right now that you're loving? It can be skincare, it can be body care, it can be hair care, makeup. What are you loving?
I love the clean girl aesthetic.
I know you do.
I love the no makeup.
We have like the
look.
same
Yeah.
taste, I think.
Yeah. So I'm loving that. I think I'm also loving all the dermatologist brand skincares. Like I'm thinking they're doing a great job.
Which ones are you loving?
Prequel skincare, I cannot remember. I think her name's Sam Ellis is the
Okay.
dermatologist. I just love her. I think she's great. She gives a lot of good education online. And then Dr. Idris. Have you heard of her?
No.
She's
I
great.
think I've heard of Sam Ellis for sure, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can always get behind any brand that is started by like a true practitioner of the art. Like, we see celebrity makeup brands popping up left and right, but like I'll give products a try if I hear they're great, but my expectations aren't the highest,
Mhm.
but I will always try the Makeup by Mario, the Patrick Ta, the Pat McGrath, the brands that are owned by the artists.
Mhm.
What are you noticing in the aesthetic industry right now that you're like kind of worried about or maybe like a little skeptical about?
I would say the biggest trend that I'm seeing in aesthetics is that clinics are opening everywhere. And so it's really important to make sure that the practitioner that you're going to, the provider that you're going to, is licensed to perform the services that you're getting done. And then on top of that, the practitioner should have a medical license. And also, it takes years of experience and education to kind of get really good at aesthetics. I think there's a misconception that aesthetics is easy and anyone can pick up a botox syringe and do it, but it just takes years of practice and research and education to get good at what we're doing. And there are a lot of clinics opening up everywhere. And I would say my biggest piece of advice for people looking to go and get treatments done is just to make sure that the person that you're going to is licensed and practicing within their scope.
So there's people that are starting to practice that might not be licensed.
Yes, aesthetics is very gray, especially in New York State.
Is there just not a lot of regulation around things business wise?
There is a lot of regulation, but I think a lot of the procedures that people are getting done, so whether that's injectables or they're getting treatments from devices or lasers, like, laser treatments, RF microneedling, those types of procedures, you have to have a medical license to operate the machinery. Um, in New York State, it was probably about a year ago, the legality of laser changed. So now in New York State, in order to operate a laser, you have to be an RN, NP, MD, or PA. So there's a lot of practices that are still operating lasers that may not be licensed to do so, and it may not be within their scope of practice.
And I'm sure that there might even be a situation where, like, most of the time when we go to the doctor's office, like, the people that are actually coming in and doing the real work are the nurses and not the doctor,
Hmm.
right? But if you have to be a doctor to purchase one of these machines,
Hmm.
which also means you should be the one operating it,
Yeah.
then that might not always be the person operating the machine.
Yes, that's true. And previously in New York State, you could delegate procedures to an unlicensed person, but they did change the laws for that. And of course, like, check with your attorney for any of this info, but this is just my stance. I'm pretty conservative as far as the laws. So we make sure at Medicine Based Beauty that we're really practicing within our scope and doing things legally. Um, Patient safety is a huge, huge um, issue in aesthetics. And so making sure that our patients have safe outcomes is really important to me.
And I can only imagine the liability
Yeah.
that's at stake with any of these businesses.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Have you had any difficulty kind of navigating that side of running a business like this, kind of the paperwork and the nitty gritty stuff, or is this kind of, stuff like this natural for you?
Yeah, I would say when I first got into entrepreneurship, I thought this was going to be glamorous and
Don't
um,
we all?
yeah, I thought this was going to be so glamorous, but there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. I'm constantly in contact with my attorney, just reviewing paperwork. I don't sign anything without having it reviewed by him. I'm always in contact with my accountant. And then there's so much administrative work that I never anticipated when I started a business. Um, of course, like, injecting is my love, and it's kind of where I get to blend my artistic side and my medical side. And there's just so much more to running a business than what meets the eye.
What have you learned about yourself, as just as a woman, navigating this business, growing this business? Is there anything that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, I think this year, especially after we've had two openings, I've really tried to set a little bit more of a boundary for myself. So, um, and what that looks like for me is rest. So, just taking time to unwind. And it's so interesting. I used to be go, go, go all the time. And now I find myself just kind of relaxing at home most of the time. Like, I don't really want to go out anymore or do anything. Even like going to a dinner seems exhausting. So,
No, I hear that.
yeah,
Seriously, I get worked up
yeah,
over just a little dinner. But
yeah,
the thing is that there is just so much involved even with just a dinner. And when you're running a business, it's like you always have that guilt of, no, I didn't finish all the things on my to-do list today. I never finish all the things on my to-do
yeah.
list. There's always something
Yeah,
else to be done. So it can be really hard to take care of yourself and stay social. But if you're going to choose one or the other, you may as well take care of yourself so you can
yeah,
keep going.
yeah. I never get my to-do list done. Like, I have a ongoing to-do list. Heather and I use Trello. Heather's my assistant, and she is just like the backbone of the business, really. She helps me with everything. And I have kind of learned that it's okay to not check everything off the list every day. Like, not everything can get done every single day. So it's been important for me to prioritize what is the most important tasks to get done that day.
I've always kind of struggled with that, the prioritization part of it. Sometimes it's so hard to know what needs to be done first. So you literally just look at the day ahead of you. It's like, what needs to be done by tomorrow? Okay, yeah. It's day in, day out entrepreneurship. The past year has been absolutely nuts for you. Um, I'm sure there's been times where it's been grueling, but what do you think keeps you the most motivated? Like, what's your driver?
Definitely our patients. Um, we are so lucky that patients trust us with their faces and trust us with their beauty. So I'm always striving to improve the patient experience and improve patient outcomes and make sure that we're, using the best techniques and the best technology to give them the best outcomes. In addition to that, I do think there's a hospitality aspect to owning a med spa. So making sure that they feel relaxed when they come in our doors, the vibe of the office is set. I like to have candles burning and music playing and those kinds of things. So really creating that patient experience is so important to me for our patients. We want to give them that luxurious feel when they walk into our door. And then on top of that, providing like the best aesthetic treatments and outcomes that we can.
How do you ensure that your clients feel empowered and confident about their treatments that they're getting done?
I think that starts with relationship building. Like when someone comes in our door, we're not going to be pointing out what we think that they can do. It's more about what bothers them and what is their insecurities and how can we help them feel better and feel like the best version of themselves.
Isn't it like a strategy? It must be like a strategy that, or like an old school strategy that plastic surgeons would use is like once you come in for one thing, then all of a sudden they start telling you about all the other things that you could do. And it's like a gateway drug,
Yeah,
basically.
it's like Botox is the gateway drug to everything else. But there is also options for patients that don't want injectables. So you can do medical grade skincare, you can do laser treatments. There's options for people that either aren't quite ready for injectables yet or just don't want to incorporate them in their routine.
So what about you? What is like your beauty regimen? What are your non-negotiables?
Okay, my non-negotiables, first of all, is sunscreen, especially being out on the water and things like that. It's so important to be wearing sunscreen every day, even in the winter. Um,
People forget about that.
yes. And
What
then
sunscreen are you reaching for?
I like the Smart Tone by Zeo Skin Health. It's great. It gives a little bit of like a tint and evens the skin tone out. So I love that one. Um, I'm also like, I do it all. So I never bring something into the practice that I have not tried myself. So I want patients to feel safe knowing that I've tried all of these procedures. So I try everything, but I'd say my non-negotiables would be definitely laser treatments. I'm getting a Moxie Bright tomorrow.
Like you're selling me. I want to get one.
It's so good.
The issue for me is like downtime and hosting events all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like and like being on camera, I feel like I've completely pushed my beauty routine to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I need to get back
You
on
look
it.
great. So
Thank
yeah.
you. What about like, what is your go to just to hydrate and plump the skin? We're heading into the winter months. It gets very dry here, especially with the heat pumping. What is your like go to moisturizer?
Yeah. So my go-to moisturizer is our medicine-based beauty ceramide barrier cream. It has ceramides in it. It really helps to plump and hydrate the skin, especially in the winter months.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that after a year full of growth and just go, 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 you're probably just excited to like for things to settle down. But is there anything that you're looking forward to in 2025?
I was just telling one of my patients the other day that I'm just kind of starting to feel like a human again after the two big openings. So I'm getting more used to my routine and my new schedule. I have had to pivot a bit because of the new opening. So I'm working an extra day during the week, which takes away from administrative time. So I know we talked about balance earlier, but pivoting to meet the needs of the business is a huge part of entrepreneurship, and it does take some sacrifice. Um, but as far as what I'm looking forward to, I'm just looking forward to settling in and kind of growing in our three practices that we have. We have an amazing team behind us, and I'm just excited for what 2025 has in store.
Pivoting and sometimes I think we all love to talk about like work life balance,
Hmm.
but sometimes you just have to realize that there's going to be seasons of life and of business where you are just you have to sacrifice that work-life balance. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think there is such a thing as work-life balance. I try really hard to prioritize rest if I need it, but and it's like you said before, I do feel guilty if I'm not getting things done for the business because it's not just my business anymore. We have a team and they have families and lives and all of that. So it's important to kind of get those things done. So you do have to pivot in entrepreneurship. Sometimes I've made sacrifices where like I don't do something on the weekend because I need to get some work for the business done instead.
And that's a lot of pressure too. Like, I I think it's one thing to be able to risk it all for yourself, but once you start bringing other people into the mix and you're, you know, putting food on the table for other people, that's like a whole other part of business that no one really prepares you for.
Yeah.
How do you deal with pressure? Like, do you deal with it well? Is there something that you do specifically when you can feel that pressure coming on so you can kind of offset it?
I would say entrepreneurship takes a certain amount of conviction and knowing and refusing failure. So whenever I feel pressure, I just know that I'm going to succeed because I'm unwilling and unable to fail.
Yeah, you have no choice.
Yeah, I'm in way too deep.
Well, I think that's the beauty of like taking crazy risks and being what some people call delulu.
hmm
Like you're literally setting yourself up for success because you have no space to fail.
I have no other option. Like we just moved into this beautiful space. We have another office in Syracuse. We still have our Ithaca office. There's no room for failure. So, and I have a great team behind me as well that is kind of supporting the business.
Do you think you're going to be looking to expand the team even more and like bring on another injector? Are you good with just
Kayla is in Syracuse and Skaneateles, and then Courtney is our nurse practitioner in Ithaca. And we've got a pretty solid team with the three of us injectors. And then we have our support staff as well.
So you mentioned that there's like all these clinics popping up everywhere. Are you talking about like franchise clinics?
Yeah, there have been some franchise practices that have opened, but there's also just um, people taking, a Botox course over a weekend and then opening up shop.
Why do you think that's happening? Do you think it's because like you have people that wanted to get into the medical industry and then are realizing that they want to pick their patient essentially and they think maybe they probably assume that it's easier?
I would say for sure. I think people in, I always say like traditional medicine versus aesthetic medicine, but they both are areas of medicine. I think the industry is booming. And so everyone wants to get into this. I mean, like I said before, it looks so glamorous, but there's just so much more that goes into being an injector. There's so much education, there's so much time that it takes to really get good at your craft. And so I think people are just jumping into it. And I think if you have the passion for it, you're going to succeed because if you're like I was, my first couple of years injecting, I was going to like every training I could possibly go to, going to every conference, learning as much as I could. And we still continue to do that. So, we just went to a 4-day conference. Me and our team went to a 4-day conference in Philadelphia just to continue learning and um, meeting other injectors and kind of getting to talk about aesthetics and what's working and what's not working and the trends.
How often do you guys go to trainings every year?
We do a couple trainings a year, hands-on trainings, and then we do try to go to a conference every year.
And you also mentioned that you host trainings here in your
Yes.
Syracuse headquarters. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I really believe in community over competition, and I think our patients are safer when we work together. So hosting trainings here has been important to me just to get all of the injectors in the community together and we can learn new techniques and bounce ideas off of each other. And it kind of fosters growth and development instead of creating this toxic environment that can happen in aesthetics.
And you're really doing something by bringing like renowned trainers to this region, not only for yourself and for your employees, but also for other people in the industry that, could benefit.
Yeah, we've hosted some cool injectors here. And we've also hosted group trainings through some of the aesthetic medical companies, which has been awesome. And then I also train injectors as well. So I host them here as well.
Are you going to be bringing in any other injectors in 2025? Or are you going to mainly focus on your trainings?
I have a couple in mind of people that I'd like to come. It does take a lot of effort to get somebody, somebody well known here. So, but I have a couple of people in mind who I'm excited about, and I'm excited for the opportunity. So,
Yeah. What does that process look like? How do you get them to even respond to your message? I'm sure they get lots of messages, but I mean, I think that there's something to be said about PR here, right? Like, what's
mhm.
your strategy in the pitch?
Yeah. So I think all of that is really back to building relationships. A lot of the trainers that I've had come, I've built relationships with over the years. So whether that's like going to their trainings elsewhere and then having them come here, or just like becoming social media friends. I invest a lot in my own training. So when I'm going to train with some of these other injectors, I start to build relationships with them. And then, we hit it off. And then maybe they're willing to come to Syracuse to train a group of injectors in our area.
Community over competition any day.
Yes.
Well, one last question, Francesca. What is I know you're getting back into your routine now, so I'd love to hear it. What is
Oh
your
my
morning
gosh.
routine, night routine?
Okay.
Are you do you love your morning routine? Are you into
I'm
it?
not a morning person
Do you have a night
at
routine
all.
that you love?
Um, but I do a morning routine because I have to. So I just do like my skincare in the morning and I do my social media in the morning. So like I start my day by doing my social media in bed for like an hour.
Oh my gosh, that is like so against the rules. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. No, I'm not like up at 5 a.m.
And like avoiding your phone for 2 hours.
No, I'm like immediately roll over. Okay, what
Get
do I
that
need
blue
to
light
post
in my
today?
eyes right
Get the
now.
blue light in my eyes. What do I need to post today? And then I do that for like, however long it takes, an hour or so. And then I get up and start my day.
Just classic entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm too soft for that. I get out of bed, get my ice rollers in front of my red light. I do my little affirmations, go on my little vibration blade.
I love
Take like
that.
a whole hour.
I wish that I could
I
be,
need
I wish I was like you.
you know what? There's some days where I don't get to work until like noon, but then I'm like, Alex, come on, let's get
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah.
Like, stop.
I found I'm like my best between 10 and 2. So that's usually when I get the bulk of my work done. And I definitely try to have like a relaxing routine, like on the weekends and things when I have time. But during the work week, it's just a little bit rigorous. I'm really trying to get everything done and then also see patients on top of it. So, and then my night routine is my skincare and my prescription retinol,
Okay,
my
we love
tretinoin.
that.
Yeah.
Do you do any ice at all? Like, how do you feel about ice on the face?
I do love a good ice roller.
Yeah, it saves me. Well, Francesca Scutari, thank you so much for joining me on Cultivate CNY. It was a pleasure to sit down with you again. And I look forward to seeing everything you do in 2025.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Cultivate CNY. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you left us a review and make sure you're subscribed to the show. Speaking of the show, if you know anyone or if you are interested in being our next guest on Cultivate CNY, be sure to submit us an application. You can just click the link in the show notes. And if you're a business owner that's interested in getting in front of our audience, you can go ahead and email us at podcast@cnywomensnetwork.com to learn more about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. All right, that's it for now. I'll catch you guys next Monday.